your assessment of the match?
Yeah, I didn't know the wind was going to be like that, but I'm really proud with how I handled it, and I thought that, I don't know, even though we both probably wanted better conditions, I thought the match was still pretty good, so.
Okay, we've got a question here in English. Yes, fine.
Last year, Madison Keys talked about her struggles with being a professional tennis player and said that she spent a lot of time making everything about the number next to her name, the ranking. From your point of view, how much of your self-worth, if that's the word that we want to use, is linked to what you achieve on court, winning or losing, or your position on the ranking?
Yeah, I think for me, like, that was everything. And I can't be bold enough to say, like, I've completely changed that mindset. Of course, I feel like I'm the type of person that wants to be of value. Like, it feels better if people, like, you know, like, not think you're important, but, like, if I'm valuable to someone's life, I feel like they treat me better or something like that, you know? So, like, of course, you think about wanting to win slams and wanting to be number 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, whatever. But I think, like, where I am right now, I'm just really happy to, like, have gotten in without a wild card, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, it's taking me for a loop, but I think that I really needed to be where I am right now.
I guess I'm curious to hear more about that. Like, what is your sort of approach to not getting too caught up in the number next to your name? And I guess you got in direct pretty late to this tournament, so that was a relief, I guess you're saying to you?
Yeah, I sent a text in the group chat. I was like, yes! But yeah, I mean, I think ever since I won here last time, I was just trying to be, you know, in the top 10, in the top 5, number 1. There was always, like, a goal, but I never really took a step or a break after that to just sort of, like, want to be a better player or a better person, stuff like that. But I also think, like, me right now, I think the other players are more worried about my ranking than I am, if that makes sense. Because I'm, like, comfortable with whoever I play. And I won't be bold enough to say, like, I think the ranked players are scared for me to be positioned near them because I'm no longer ranked, but I think that is a feeling that may come up.
I mean, you just touched on the way the wind was swirling and playing on court. How then did you come back from love 2 in that final set, winning those 6 games in a row to close it out?
Honestly, I didn't know what the score was. I had to ask Wim afterwards. I was just really concentrating on trying my best in every point. And, you know, like, as tight as I was in the first 2 games of the final set, I just figured, like, I learn from every match that I play, and I learned a lot in my 3-set match against Amanda, oh my God, what's happening? Anna Samova in Australia. And I just told myself, like, I'll have opportunities for sure, and I just need to capitalize on that. And I know that I was hitting a lot of double faults in the first game of the 3rd set, so just trying to fix that first of all.
You talked yesterday about wanting to have fun playing tennis. When the conditions are bad and create frustrating moments with the gusts, how do you find fun in tennis? Where do you make that for yourself?
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating, but it was also funny at the same time because there was, like, debris flying around the court and stuff. And I've never played in a match that was that windy, so it was also, like, a new experience. And I think, like, I was just grateful that there was fans watching the match. I didn't feel it at the time that I was playing, but apparently it was very cold, so the fact that they stuck around really meant a lot to me.
On the ranking again, when your ranking doesn't match what you feel like you're capable of, I guess where do you sort of draw your sort of, how do you measure where you're at right now? I guess, you know what I mean? Because you haven't played very much lately, so there's sort of not a lot of data on you as on court lately, but where do you sort of, how do you assess where you're at and what you would need to do and sort of where you fit in?
Yeah, I feel like this match was a very important match for that. Like, I've trained since Australia, and to play against Sloane, and she just won a tournament, and I'm sure she's feeling really confident about herself. That was a really good test for me. But at the same time, I do need to play a lot more matches, and I do need to give myself the opportunity to like get more into the swing of things. I feel like I played well in Australia, but I keep taking these long breaks, and I'm aware that I'm taking them. But yeah, hopefully, I'll get more into the flow of things with this U.S. hardcourt swing, even though it's just 2 tournaments.
You're just talking about taking breaks between tournaments. What's ideal for you for the number of tournaments you'd like to play during the year, and what was also ideal for the number of weeks between tournaments for you?
Honestly, I feel like the tennis season is a bit too long, but that's just my personal opinion. I feel like I'm the type of person that, this is also a bad thing about me, like, I want to play the least amount of tournaments as possible, but in order to do that, I have to do well at every tournament, so I create kind of this pressure internally always. Just like whatever tournament I enter, I feel like I need to like win or go to the quarters at least. But yeah, I can easily fix that by playing more tournaments. I'm doing it to myself, but I don't even know like what is the regular calendar amount of tournaments. So I wouldn't be able to give you a specific number.
David, this time?
Naomi, your coach, Wim, told me once that
Oh, hi, sorry.
that you're keeping the track of your stats live as you play. And he said that that's fascinating. And I was just wondering where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I like to look at the stats of like unforced error, first serve percentage, second serve return, that type of thing, because I feel like I can fix it, in the next set. So I guess that's where it comes from. And I also feel like in a match like this, like even though I lost the first set 6-3, it felt much closer than that, and I know that there are like very pivotal moments. So if I can just fix a percentage of something or the amount of unforced errors that I make, then maybe I could win the next couple of sets.
If you're comfortable with it, I wonder if you could characterize a little bit the evolution of your relationship with Wim. It seems like maybe it's getting stronger as you go through this maybe last year or so. And for instance, does he help you with those decisions you mentioned, like the scheduling and spacing your time out and these things?
I'm pretty sure he wishes he could help with my scheduling. But no, I don't know. The type of person I am now, it's kind of hard for me to trust people. So like I would say in the very beginning of the relationship, I didn't really talk to him much outside of tennis. But as we've grown and as he's kind of seen like the things that I've gone through and stuff, we kind of had to talk about it, if that makes sense. Like it's only fair. And not just him, like my entire team. We're kind of like a family, we travel together and stuff. So I feel like it's better for them to know what's on my mind. And even though I try not to bug them too much or bother them about how I'm feeling, in the end, it's always better to like tell them about my stress and stuff, so that if I'm like being tight on the court, I guess they know where it comes from. But yeah, I would say our relationship is pretty strong. hopefully he doesn't say the opposite.
We'll take our last two questions. Yeah.
And I'd just like to ask you a general question, if you feel like answering it. But what part of tennis do you like the best?
For me, I love competing. I'm a very competitive person, no matter what. Like, if I'm playing the PlayStation, and this might be a slight attitude problem, but if I'm playing the PlayStation and I lose or my sister does better than me, I get so mad, and then I stay up almost the whole night just training on that one specific thing. But yeah, I just love competing, you know. I think it's really amazing. Like, you get to train for as long as you want and then go into a tournament just hoping that, you know, you're the better player at the end of the day. So
And final question in English.
Playing conditions as tough as they were today can be extremely frustrating. Do you believe that your newly found attitude on court has helped you win today's match? Do you believe your old self would have maybe lost this match?
That's a really hard question. I think my old self wouldn't have been grateful, if that makes sense. So for me, I came into the match just being grateful to be on the stadium court, in a way playing against Sloane, because I knew that's what people wanted to see, and I was happy to be playing a match that people were tuned into. And maybe my past self would have just been extremely tense, thinking about, like, I have to win this match and stuff like that. So I think there's two different mindsets in that way. But yeah, maybe I would have been too tense to, like, think logically, my past self.
Okay, we'll take a few questions in Japanese now.
お疲れ様です。今日のセカンドセットを取ってでサードセットいい流れでいったかなと思ったところからに、ゲームに、ブレイクされてでそこから挽回ってこのあたりどういうふうに考えて何をアジャストしていったんですか？
Yeah, I think in the third set, after I got broken, and if it was like 2-love or something, I was just thinking, like, I wonder why I'm so tense. And then for me, the answer that I got was that I was thinking, like, this is my only opportunity. Like, in the second set, I knew that if I did well, there was going to be a third set. But in the third set, like, that's the last one, you know? Like, you don't get to play a fourth set. So I think I was just putting too much things in my mind, and I wasn't as fluid, like, movement-wise. I think I got stuck a lot. And, of course, the wind didn't really help that at all. So, yeah, I just tried to, like, play it point by point and not think too much about the score.
あれだけ風が強いと何が難しくってどういうことを一番心がけましたか？
Yeah, so with the wind, it's a bit tricky because, like, one side, the ball's short, and the other side, the ball is kind of deep, if that makes sense. Like, there was a point I was serving, I wasn't really sure if I should just push it or go for it. Eventually, I ended up going for every serve, but it just makes you think a lot. For me, it might make me overthink a bit too much, but yeah, it's like two different conditions in the same match.
Any more questions in Japanese?
ちょっとさっきテニスシーズンはトゥーロングだって言ってましたけど18歳の時にエイジエリジビリティがなくなってでもうこれで好きなだけテニスができるヤッホーって喜んでたのを覚えてるんですけどその時の気持ちと今っていうのは、まあ、もちろん目標とかポジションとかいろんなことが違いますけどなんかどういうふうに違うかなと思いますか？
You know what's funny? I'm wondering if you're teaching everyone Japanese with your questions, if that makes sense, because everyone's like nodding at certain points. I'm like, oh, they understand what you're saying. But yeah, I do like recall the feeling of being 18 and not having the age restriction and being able to play as many tournaments as I wanted, and that was a really amazing feeling for me. And now that you say, it's quite ironic for me at this point to be saying, like, I would wish the season was shorter, but, you know, I think it's, like, me then and me now are completely different, because work outside of tennis as well. So I try to keep myself as busy as possible. And I know that it's not really shown a lot, but yeah, I guess I just have to find more of a balance.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Cool, thank you.
I heard her say